Hello and welcome. I'm Lopamudra Ghatak from the Economic Times Digital, and today I will be in conversation with a very special guest, a champion of the skies, Aarohi Pandit. Aarohi is joining me from Mumbai, and we will be talking about her zipping across the skies, across continents, and doing a very special flight recently. At 25 years of age, Aarohi is the world's first woman pilot to cross the Atlantic Ocean and the Pacific Ocean in a light sport aircraft. She's also the first woman pilot to have flown solo across the Greenland ice caps on a light sport aircraft. And recently, Aarohi has made news as she reenacted the memories of the iconic JRD Tata, who flew India's first commercial flight from Bhuj to Karachi. And Aarohi flew in her Sinus 921 Pipistrel, which started from Bhuj, stopped at Ahmedabad, and then finally landed in Mumbai. Welcome, Aarohi. It's a pleasure to have you on this show today with me.
Thank you so much for having me.
So first thing first, are you feeling on top of the world? Literally, it must have been quite an emotional moment for you, reenacting the flight done by the iconic JRD Tata 90 years ago. Tell us, just take us through your journey.
Well, if to be very, very honest, I think I'm still in a delusional world because I cannot believe that I got this opportunity to reenact the legendary pilot, what we call him. To be honest, I'm just very honored and very, very blessed to have this opportunity, especially at this age. I would just like to thank in fact, my entire team when it comes to IWPA, Tata Power, the Navy function. This is only possible because of their hard work that I have gotten this opportunity to give a beautiful tribute to that beautiful man who opened doors for so many people after him.
So, Aarohi, if I may ask, were you nervous? Just tell us what was going on in your mind before the run up to the flight.
I think the nervousness began a night before the flight. After completing all my flight planning and all the preparations for that, I remember calling a friend and telling her she was a part. I mean, she has worked with me before, and I remember calling her and saying, you know what, I don't know why, but I'm very, very nervous. I don't know how I'm going to pull this off. And she was like, why are you so nervous? Like, you have done a lot of flights. But I think the difference between those flights and this flight is that there was a lot of pressure, like reenacting JRD Tata.
Exactly.
And I was very nervous. And on the flight day, I think I did really get any of time to be nervous because there was so much to do, like flight planning, contacting so many people, media. So I think the nervousness began a night before, but on the day I was just excited and I wanted to touch down and complete the tribute on time, which was the most important thing.
So, Aarohi, you have been flying for some years now, 8-9 years that you've been flying. But anything additional, anything in particular, anything special, any special preparation that you undertook for this particular flight, if you would like to tell our audience?
Yes, so this flight was supposed to be without autopilot, without GPS, which I don't think I've done for the past 6 years. So I had like various maps and chats. So it was basically flying back in time. During our commercial pilot training, that's when I started 8 years back. This is the basic training we used to get. But I don't think like for 5 to 6 years I've ever flown without a GPS flight computer.
We're so dependent on technology.
Exactly, yes. So I think the most challenging part was to fly and keep a lookout. Like, what if I miss the railway track? I'm going to get lost. What if I miss that highway? I'm going to get lost. So it was wonderful. It was challenging, but it was definitely worth it because I got to experience that kind of flying, which he must be, it must be so challenging for him back then without, a lot of, the charts and the maps were so very much updated in today's time. But I can only imagine the charts, the old charts and the black and white charts he must be having. It was definitely a challenge. And I love him for what he did.
You took off from Bhuj, and then you had a stopover at Ahmedabad, and then you finally landed in Mumbai. So take us through that journey. Take us through that course of that journey.
So my day began early morning, like I said, because it was a big day for me. And as soon as I reached the airport, I think the nervousness was just, piling up one on one. But the best part was I had beautiful ladies there. This tribute also included Madhapur ladies who helped Indian Air Force in the 1971 war. So
Right.
they were present there with all their blessings, with all their loves. I felt I have like 12 grandmothers, waving me goodbye for the flight. It was beautiful. So they were present at for the event flag sign. It was beautiful, and I took off. It was approximately 1 hour 40 minutes flight. I was struggling to navigate on that route. I mean the way from Bhuj to Ahmedabad, it's so difficult. I think I was lost for a couple of minutes, but I did make my way through.
Okay.
And yes, then I landed in Ahmedabad. I refueled my aircraft, and
Hmm.
my flight was delayed for 20 minutes. But I would really appreciate the healthy ATC controllers who made this slow moving traffic possible, and they were working as per my convenience. So they made this flight possible. And yeah, I took off noon. It was really hot,
Okay.
and later I think the lengthiest part was like navigating from Ahmedabad to Juhu. It took me like almost 3 hours, and I was exhausted after landing. But honestly, after seeing all those faces, it just made my day. Everything was worth it.
Aarohi, what has been your inspiration? I'm curious to know, how did you take to the skies? How did you decide on flying?
So I'm the first pilot in my family, and
Okay.
I think I was 8 or 9 year old, when I saw a female pilot. In fact, a pilot for the very first time, and that's when I decided that this is what I wanted to do. And my parents, they always supported me. And one thing about flying, that it gives me so much of power when I'm commanding an aircraft. It just gives me a sense of power. I feel very powerful when I'm sitting in the cockpit flying an airplane. So I think
Right.
that's what inspires me more and more.
Okay. There are a lot of young women out there who would be wanting to follow in your footsteps, who would be very curious and very inspired, especially after this recent feat of yours. So tell them, what should they be doing? How should they train themselves for this?
So, like, I do understand when you don't belong to an aviation background, it is very difficult to get all the other information, which is true, even for me. I'll tell you a true story. I was about to take admission in another college, because I had no idea how to get into a flying club back then. And just before leaving for the other college I was getting into, I was just on my Facebook, scrolling around, and that's when I saw the Bombay Flying Club advertisement on Facebook. And I
Okay.
told my dad, like, Dad, I don't want to miss it. Please, please, let's go. And, we just rushed to Juhu, and we got my admission that day itself. So my story is a bit filmy, but it's 100% true. So I feel
Okay.
like, destiny works some or the other way. If you really want to do it, and you are ready to work hard for it, I think you get it 200%.
Well, Facebook to the rescue. I think Mr. Zuckerberg will be very happy to have given, wings to your flight of fancy. But on a serious note, what is your next destination, Aarohi? Where are you planning to go next?
Well, as a long term, my plan is to get into commercial airlines. And right now, I am looking to work with commercial airlines in India. Let's hope. My only target is to flying as long as I can, because I'm really good at it and I love doing it.
Mm.
So hopefully, I will get to. Because of COVID, there was a lot of downfall in
Right.
Indian aviation. Even my career was at a pause for a couple of months. But slowly things are opening, and I'm hoping that new opportunities come to me and I get to fly as much as I want to. And you never know what I do next. So I have no idea.
Okay. Tell us, who is Aarohi Pandit when she's not zipping across continents, when she's not flying high? Who is she? What keeps you going?
I could eat three things. Either I'm horse riding, either I'm kickboxing, or either I'm a couch potato. I love sitting around in my house.
And what are the kind of cuisines that you enjoy, Aarohi? Street food?
I love Indian and Thai. I absolutely love Thai food and homemade Indian food, especially Maharashtra, because I've grown eating it.
And before we go, one quick question for you, Aarohi. It's a trick question though. Any money advice that you would like to give our audience at the Economic Times? What do you spend on? Where are you saving your money? Where are you investing your money, if at all? Any tips that you would like to give our young audience?
So when it comes to investment, I'm not very good at it. But my sister, she's my savior. She has
Okay.
a graduation in BSc Economics. So she helps me with mutual funds and SIPs and basic knowledge. And I give her the money, she invests. And I'm like, listen, I want returns. And she's like, okay, fine, I'm working on it. We calm down.
Okay.
So she's the one who helps me. And coming on spending, to be honest, I don't really get that much time because I'm not home that often. So whatever I can borrow, maybe shoes or maybe bags. I love shoes and bags. So that's where I think most of my money goes.
So your sister is your fund manager then. Very well. Thank you, Aarohi, for taking time off and joining us and chatting with us. It was a wonderful conversation with you. And we wish you all the best, good luck, and we hope all your flights of fancy and fantasy come true. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.